CBS News played a story tonight, and they have this ability to kind of just not present it neutrally. They have to kind of show it from a perspective. And in this instance, I think they crossed the line. They didn't cross it by a lot, but they definitely crossed the line. Now listen to the words. They make it sound like the Texas police were forced to give up the video, and therefore there's something there they were hiding. That's not known. They just gave the video over. Their law got passed and they have to release video, so they released the video. But listen to her words at the very beginning.
A new policy in Austin, Texas has forced the police there to release video.
Has forced, like they were trying not to release it, right? So now they want to show you something that proves that the police had something to hide. So I'm going to play the next little bit. Again, this is them leading the news, not reporting the news.
Video of the deadly shooting of a black and Latino man named Michael Ramos. Now this happened in April. The video shows Ramos getting out of his car with his hands and shirt raised. Police first shoot Ramos with a beanbag round before he gets back in his car and starts driving.
Okay, this whole thing is very tragic on a lot of levels because he probably shouldn't have gotten shot, but they manipulated the footage just enough so we don't really know that. They're leading everyone into a conclusion by the way they edited this. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you what they did.
Starts driving. Latino man named Michael Ramos. Now this happened in April. The video shows...
Okay, so up here you have hours, minutes, and seconds. Okay? So this was 18:42:00. He's by the side of the car.
The video shows Ramos getting out of his car with his hands and shirt raised. Police first shoot Ramos with a beanbag round before...
Okay. Right there, they just jumped a full minute. Okay? And I understand they need to speed it up. That's fine. But when they cut to the next piece, they only left about, I'm not exactly sure, about a third of a second to a quarter of a second before he got hit with the beanbag. That's not fair to either side. You need to show at least 2 seconds or 3 seconds before so we can see if he fidgeted or not. But by cutting it so close to where when they went, there was a white transition. During that white transition, they moved forward a minute. So something was going on for a full minute that we didn't get to see. Okay, so that right off the bat, we don't know what's going on during that minute. Was he not complying and the police were getting nervous? Was he slightly creeping toward into the car little by little? I'm not saying he was. I'm just saying we don't know because they cut a whole minute out. And that's fine. But when you cut to the part with the beanbag, you have to leave lead time so we understand why he was shot. Or was he truly shot for no reason? By cutting it so close, it just looks like he had his hands up, wasn't doing anything, and got shot. But we don't know that based on the way they edited it. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you frame by frame.
Before he... A Latino man named Michael Ramos. Now this happened in April. The video shows Ramos getting out of his car with his hands and shirt raised.
Now there's going to be a white flash. So right here we're at 6:42 and 4 seconds. So they showed 4 seconds in front, right? But before the beanbag, they only showed like a third of a second. So here's what happened. We're at 6:42:04. I'm going to advance frame by frame. This number would change about every 30 frames is 1 second. So I have to click this 30 times for that number to move once. So I'm going to just click it. Okay, just move to 5, right? So now I'm clicking. It's at 42:05. He's kind of moving around. He's probably very afraid, and we understand that. 18:42:07. He's at 42:07. Now watch the white. The white flicker is the key when it flashes to white. Right there. So we're at 18:42:07. When we come back, we're at 18:43:06. So a full minute has gone by. So they did the white transition is used as a tool to cut down time. And that's fine. That's not the problem. The problem is, from right here, they should have shown, this should not be 43:06. It should be like 43:03. Okay? So we have 3 seconds lead time. So we can see what he did in the 3 seconds. If his hands were up for those 3 seconds and he wasn't moving, then that's really bad for the police. But if he was fidgeting or he was moving the whole time, then you can see, okay, he looked like he was just trying to get into his car. And instead, they made it look like, oh, he got into his car because he got shot by the beanbag, or was the beanbag used because he wasn't standing perfectly still. They tried to make it look like he was standing still by cutting to right before he gets hit by the beanbag. This should have been cut at 43:03 or 43:02. So we would have 3 or 4 seconds of lead in. And they didn't do that. And that's how you manipulate the news. And that's how you catch them, is when you got the numbers to look at on the screen. Because to falsify that gets into really, that's getting into real deep stuff. And I hope we never see that, but we may someday. So look what happens. 43:06 is when they cut from the white, they cut to this. His hands are up, right? So you think, oh, the poor guy, he got shot with his hands up. Like he's totally, what a victim. And yeah, maybe he was. Maybe he was. But we need to see the 3 or 4 seconds. Instead, from 43:06, let's see where the beanbag gets fired. Okay, turn to 7. So they showed less than a second. I clicked it about 12 or 13 times. He got hit. So they literally showed a third of a second, is being generous. They only showed a third of a second before he got hit. They should have shown 3 seconds, which would be 9 times as much footage before he got hit. And I'm not taking sides here. If they put the extra 3 seconds in, maybe his hands are up the whole time, and that would make his case more, that he was a victim, that he got shot when he was standing still. But by only showing a third of a second, they've tricked everybody. Because I'm like the only one who's going to look at the numbers. I edited for 15 years. I looked at these numbers every day for 15 years when I was an editor. So I know totally what they are, what they do. Do you have time code? There's drop frame, non-drop. There's all kinds of uses for this. This is user bits. It's the date stamp, and back in the day it would be called user bits. You could put your date stamp there. So what they did is they used that white flash. I'm going to go back. Now watch it in real time. Watch the white flash. And watch how quickly he gets hit after the white flash. The white flash was designed to take out a minute of video. And again, I'm not complaining about that. That's fine. But when you come back in, you don't come in a third of a second. And I think I'm being generous on that third of a second. I think it might have been less than a third of it. I think that was about 8 video frames, 7 to 8 video frames, which would be a quarter of a second. So they literally showed a quarter of a second before the beanbag. So yeah, his arms may have been up, but if his feet were shuffling towards the door, that just might have made the officers nervous. But they don't show that. Now I'm going to go back and play it one more time. Watch after the flash. There should have been 3 or 4 seconds of video, live video, before he got hit with the beanbag. Look at how fast it happens.
Back in his...
Okay. Watch for the white flash.
Latino man named Michael Ramos. Now this happened in April. The video shows Ramos getting out of his car with his hands and shirt raised. Police first shoot Ramos with a beanbag round before he gets back in his car and starts...
Did you see how quick that was?
That's when Ramos...
It's not fair to everybody, okay? It's not fair to the police. It's not fair to Ramos. It's not fair to the public. It's politicizing the news. Why are they doing this? Is the editor that incompetent? Who decided to only leave 8 video frames before he got hit with the beanbag? That's not enough, especially if you've got the footage. If you don't have the footage, fine. But they had all the footage. They literally, so this is like if you're going to force the police to release video and then claim that, oh, they didn't want to give it up, don't manipulate it like this. Be honest. Don't politicize everything. This is politicizing the news. It's politicizing people against the police. The editor, the supervising producer should both be fired or at least suspended. they should come on screen with their faces and apologize for this. They've endangered the lives of the officers. Now there's going to be protests. You're going to have an excuse for protests, all because they refuse to show the previous 3 or 4 seconds. And like I'm saying, he may be totally innocent. He may have had his hands up and he wasn't moving at all. Or did they only show those 8 frames because he was moving the whole time, getting closer to the car, and the police got nervous? And they shot him with a beanbag. So it's like, if he was edging around and hit him with a beanbag, it's like, okay, stop. And, you know, so you see, I can see it both ways. Oh, he had his hands up. They shot him with the beanbag, so of course he's going to try to get away because they're attacking him when he has his hands up. But if he had his hands up and he was shifting to get into the car little by little, and they saw that, and they shot him with the beanbag, then you could say, if you're a fair person, you could say the guy just would not stand still. And they shot him with the beanbag to let him know, look, this is serious. And at that point, he would have just, whatever they wanted him to do, he would have done. So I'm not taking a side other than, as an editor, this kind of editing is wrong. And this manipulates a country, and it divides a country. And this is courtesy of CBS Evening News' Norah O. Take some pride in your show and look at the clips, Norah, and ask. You should know better. You should know better. Oh, why did they cut out a minute? You got to know what those numbers are. You're behind the scenes. You should know that they only showed 8 frames, which is a quarter of a second, which is not enough time to establish if he was truly standing still or not. And again, I'm going to show it one more time, all right?
Starts driving.
In slow motion. We'll watch it in slow motion this time, okay?
Shooting of a black and Latino man named Michael Ramos. Now this...
Okay. Watch for the white flash, okay? And then also his feet do move, but that's a minute. Took a minute. His feet are here. Then they cut. They do a cut, and his feet definitely move. But again, it's a minute, so we don't know how much he was moving in that minute. His feet are in a different position. That's slow motion. Now in slow motion, that was less than a second, and this is like 5 times slower. So yeah, it was like literally a 1/5 of a second, a 1/4 of a second. That was it. So that's not enough time. That was not enough time. We needed to see 3 seconds in real time, not slow motion either. 3 seconds in real time. And they didn't do it. They manipulated the news. They should be fined. The FCC should be going after CBS News on this. And they should fine them for what they did. They created mayhem. CBS News just created mayhem by the way they edited this piece.
The case won't go.
Just look at it one more. Real time. Look at that flash. Look at how quick.
The video shows Ramos getting out of his car with his hands and shirt raised. Police first shoot Ramos with a beanbag round before he gets back in his car and starts driving.
So there it is. That's it. Again, I just want it fairly presented. Oh, you're just for the police, blah, blah, blah. No, 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 no. I think George Floyd, I have a petition on change.org. George Floyd, I think, is murder one. So don't go there with that. I think Myles Garrett was a victim of media harassment. I think he was innocent. I think he committed self-defense in the helmet incident. So this is not racial for me. This is about me as an editor seeing another editor corrupt footage in a way that should not have happened. And you should be angry about this because this is wrong. We don't get the true story. The truth was right there, and they kept it from us. That's what you should remember.